Hey everybody, it is time for Mac Geek Gab, and listener Richard A. from our Discord brings us our opening quick tip where he says, most people know about spring-loaded folders in Finder where you can drag a file or a folder over a folder in a Finder window or in the sidebar, and then if you wait a second, that folder opens up for you to drop the file or even navigate further and do it again. But he says, what you may not know is that you can also drag files over the back arrow in the Finder window and wait to move the file into the folder that you were previously in as a bonus tip. I know, twice, 2 tips right here in the intro, maybe even 3 if you didn't know that you could drag onto a file or folder. The bonus tip, if you have the path bar showing at the bottom of Finder windows, which you would do with View, Show Path Bar in the Finder, you can drag files into the folders listed in the path hierarchy there, although they don't seem to do the spring-loaded opening of the folders in that case. Richard, you have hit the trifecta, my friend. More tips like this, plus your questions answered today on Mac Geek Gab 973 for Monday, March 20th, 2023. Folks, and welcome to Mac Geek Gab, the show where we share quick tips like that. We share cool stuff found. We share your questions. We try to share answers to your questions. How do you get all this stuff to us? Feedback at macgeekgab.com. You send it in. We do what we can. We string it together into an agenda that hopefully has some flow to it, such that each and every one of us will learn at least 5 new things today and every episode. Sponsors for this episode include LinkedIn.com/MGG, where you can go and post your first job for free. BBEdit from Barebones at barebones.com, one of my favorite apps, as listeners know. And Kolide, we're at KOLIDE.com/MGG. You can sign up. You can get a free demo of this fantastic device security solution. Fantastic. You got to check it out. We'll talk more in depth about each and every one of those shortly. For now, here in rainy, at least this morning, Austin, Texas, for South by Southwest, I'm Dave Hamilton.
And here, still in Fairfield, Connecticut, this is John F. Braun.
I think Pete's muted himself, folks, but Pilot Pete is here. I guarantee you.
I am here. And I'm still missing things because having slingshotted myself 3/4 the way around the world and back, I am in Lee, New Hampshire. It's Pilot Pete, and I met myself coming and going. So it's I feel like the Dunkin' Donuts man, you know. Time to make the donuts. I made the donuts.
It is time to make the donuts. I'm glad we're all here. Time to make the podcast. Yeah.
Let's make some podcast. Yeah.
Yep. I do want to remind us all that the Hangout will be this coming Sunday, March 26th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. If you sign up for the Mac Geek Gab calendar at macgeekgab.com/calendar, that and our live recordings will be there. If you go, and the link to the Zoom, including the password for the Zoom, is also in our calendar. I will also post it in our Discord at macgeekgab.com/Discord. Join our Discord, and you can help decide what we're actually going to talk about this weekend. But really, it's just great to get the group together, and we do a little hang. We answer some questions, and we'll have a topic, I think. We'll come up with something. But join the Discord to participate in that. It's a great way to do it. All right, yeah. Pete, you want to take us to our next quick tip here from Mark M?
I can do it. I stumbled across this as we were prepping the show this very morning. This has happened to me, and it drives me nuts, and this is a good one. So here's a quick tip, Mark writes, that you all may be aware of, but I just discovered it by accident. In Safari, if you have sound playing from any tab, you know that little blue speaker with the sound waves to the right of it shows up in the URL bar. I've seen that before, and then I use it to go to the right tab and shut everything down. But no, wait, there's more. All you have to do is click on the speaker icon on any tab, and it will mute that playing sound. You don't have to open it and search for the stop or the mute or any. Touch the little speaker, and it mutes it. Beautiful. Thank you, Mark.
Nice. Nice. I like it. Yeah. This is like, to me, that is the epitome
Bingo.
of a quick tip, because if you know it, you've already done it, and you probably haven't even thought to tell your friends or family members or clients about it. However, when someone sees you do it, they stop you and ask, what magic is this?
Yeah.
So,
What did you just do?
what did you just do? So if you have a quick tip like that, send it in to us. feedback@macgeekgab.com.
Feedback at macgeekgab.com.
That's the one.
I'm sure he said feedback at macgeekgab.com.
Got it.
While we are, and you can send your questions there too, of course. We're in the quick tips segment of the show. PC Unix, while we're on the Safari track here, PC Unix also in our Discord shares, and his comment was, how come I never noticed this before? And he is talking about, in Safari on the iPhone, if you go to your history, if you tap the clear button, you get an option of you get a choice of one of 4 options. You can clear your entire history. You can clear just today and yesterday, just today, and just the last hour. And you can also do this on your Mac. If you go in Safari to view, history, and then at the bottom of the history menu in Safari is clear history ...
That ellipsis is important.
Why is it important, Pete?
Because it tells you you're not going to clear your history as soon as you click this. There's more. Wait, there's more.
You're right. Yeah. So when you hit that in Safari on the Mac, you get exactly the same 4 options to choose from. So you can do that. Yeah, it's great tip to, if there's a variety of reasons you might want to do this. I'll leave that as an exercise to the listener. But
Years ago, I learned about that ellipsis on this very podcast, and it's been part of my workflow ever since. Oh, good. I don't have to worry about formatting my hard drive when I click this.
Yes. Yeah. No, that ellipsis is, you were right to call that out. That's super important. Yeah. All right, John, take us to the next Safari quick tip.
All right, we got a Safari tip and a not Safari tip.
Amazing.
So Ed says, on the iPhone in Safari, if you have multiple tabs open, rather than clicking on a square icon, good a name as any for it, just swipe left or right in the address bar. And never knew you could do that. And then also, we've talked about this before, but on the iPhone...
Wait. Just explain what happens when you swipe left or right on the address bar.
It goes to a different tab.
So you can just scroll through your tabs by swiping on the address bar.
Yes.
Similar to how you can scroll through your apps if you swipe on the little control bar, I'll call it, the home button bar, because it's the lack of a home button. But that's how you can scroll through apps. Differently, though, Safari is consistent. If you swipe around, the tabs stay in their order. They don't magically change. Whereas your apps, if you stay in an app long enough, if you swipe left to get to an app, swipe right to get to an app, and you're in it long enough, that app will become the frontmost app, and then you would have to swipe right again to get to the previous one. It changes behind the scenes, and that can get confusing. Try it. You'll see. It's easier to experience than to understand. I don't know what that means.
I mean, what you know.
If you know, you know. I don't know. I'm at a loss for how to explain this, but you try it, and trust me, you'll see what I mean. Yeah. All right.
And then secondly,
next one. Yes, please. Thank you.
On the iPhone in Photos, but it's not just photos, but select a photo with a person or maybe a pet. Long press on the person and the phone will smart lasso copy the person without the background of the photo. Click copy and you can paste the captured image wherever you like.
Yep.
And yes, you can do that. And Apple even has a little article called Lift a Subject from the Photo Background on iPhone. So I guess we can link to that.
Okay. Is there
yeah,
more
it's a neat
to
feature, and it's funny. I think Pete talked about it earlier, but
That's right.
You'll
yeah.
see whatever you highlight kind of shimmer to acknowledge that it thinks it's capturing a person or a bunch of people.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
Any noun, person, place, or thing.
Any noun. That's right. Yeah. No, you're right. That's actually what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool stuff. All right.
And you get your grammar
quick
lessons
tips.
here too, folks.
That's right. All right. Moving from iPhone to iPad, John, Robert has a quick tip for us.
Yes. In iPadOS, on the keyboard that pops up when a text field is selected, there are numbers and punctuation symbols in a light gray at the top of the keys. I struggled for a long time trying to access these symbols. Just holding a key down brings up alternate forms of the letters, such as, well, I can't pronounce them.
Letters with umlauts and accents.
Yes. And I finally figured it out. Press and hold the key and then slide your finger down about a centimeter. The key will change to the number or symbol. Release your finger and the number or symbol will be inserted into the text field. Not sure how long this has been available or if it was mentioned in a past show. I think it was.
Yep.
Here's the problem, Dave. So I tried to verify this, and I couldn't. When I brought up when the keyboard came up, it was a baby keyboard, like a smaller version. And I'm like, huh?
Okay.
And I found a support article that told me why this was not working. And the title of the article is, If Your iPad Keyboard is Small or Split in Half. And mine was. And basically how you fix the problem is you just pinch on, put your fingers on it and then grow it.
Okay.
That's
Go
the
ahead,
answer,
Pete.
but it was like, why isn't this working for me? It's like, because at some point I must have told it, make my iPad keyboard small.
Actually, my
Was it
97-year-old mother did that. She split hers.
Yeah.
And I know that on that one, you grab each half with your finger and pull them together, and it comes back together.
Yeah.
I don't know about small and large, but
Yeah. You can also do it from the keyboard menu. You can choose to split and merge. But yes, you're absolutely right. Yeah. All right. Pete, you learned a thing.
I did learn a thing, and I'm going to sneak how I learned it in there with a quick cool stuff found. I found an app called Hit 'em Up because I had to, in one word, HITEMUP. It's an app for the Mac because I needed the text 1,500 people, but I didn't want to send it in group text and that sort of thing. So that turned out to be a really good app, and I really enjoyed. It does what it says. It's freemium, I guess. So you can do so much every month and then pay more. But but what I wound up was sending all those texts is at the end of the day, I had a little number badge on my iPad, my iPhone, my watch, and my Mac on messages.
So you had an unread message out there.
I had one unread message. And man, I scrolled and I scrolled and I scrolled, and I could not find that unread message. No little blue dot saying, here's the unread message. So I started doing my Google foo, and it's, like I was telling in the pre-show, it's, remove this COM preference file and hold your tongue right, and, you may get it, you may not. And then I found this tip. Say, hey, S-Lady, read my unread messages. She read it to me, and the badge cleared up. Boom, done. Like, it was buried deep in a group text. I'd have never found it.
Nice.
So,
So I have another way of doing, because I used to have to do this. Like this is not unfamiliar to me. There is, however, and I believe this is new with iOS 16, but it might have been there in iOS 15. I can't remember when it was introduced. But if you're in Messages, up in the upper left-hand corner on your iPhone, you have a little filters sort of back button. If you go to that, there should be an unread messages filter that you can choose.
There is, and there was.
My guess is your message would have shown up in that. It might not have.
But it did not, which was weird.
didn't.
I actually did go there. Yeah.
You checked that? Oh, okay.
I did check that, and it didn't go there. And I think it was because it was a reply in a group message.
Interesting.
For some reason, somehow. It should have been there. I agree.
Yeah,
but there was no blue dot next to that next to that message. But as soon as I said it to S Lady, she did it, and it fixed it. I'm like, for the win. Got to share that.
Okay,
And
so
I
that's
don't know-
fascinating to me because that tells me that there are two sets of filters for deciding whether there are new messages. Siri has one of them that you and I can't see. The badge has one of them that you and I can't see. And then the filters section on the iPhone where it says unread messages is a different set of criteria.
Yeah,
and that's
must be.
bad.
Yeah.
This, I am doing everything I can not to get back into my rant about how much I lament the fact that we choose to use SMS in the United States here. We're basically the only country that uses SMS this way. People that do messaging in like in Europe and I think even Canada doesn't really use SMS. I think but I could be wrong about that. But certainly throughout Europe, it's WhatsApp, right? Nobody uses SMS. And it's so much better because it's a modern messaging protocol. It uses data as opposed to the antiquated SMS system. Where things get really rough is when you've got an SMS group, which really becomes an MMS group, and the iPhone just doesn't deal with that well. Is the reality.
Well, and while you're on that, I mean, I think the reason we do that is the universality still of everybody's got text. Not everybody has WhatsApp in the States, even though it'd be nice if they did.
In the state. No, you're right. This is a ship that has sailed. I am lamenting. I am not wishing for it to change. I wish that it was different, but it's not going to change. No, I'm with you. Yeah.
But the other thing I did find out, because I was trying to find out how to do this, to send a bunch of people messages, and I did discover that you can turn off group messaging so that you can still send 10 people a message. I think the limit is 25 people a message, and it appears to be from only you and to only you. And that way, so if you send 10 people a message and, one person replies, all 10 people see it, and eventually people are like, please stop texting. I'm trying to sleep or whatever. But you can set it up, turn off group messaging. So if someone replies, it only goes back to the sender, not to the entire group of people you just sent it to. That's an option in there, I promise. Go into iOS, turn off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. The problem with that is the problem with that is if you do that, then if someone includes you as part of a group, like you can't do it on a granular basis. You can't say, well, I want to be part of this group.
You have to turn it back on when you're done.
You have to turn it back on, which, yeah. So, it's all or nothing. So, yep.
Right. That's why Hit 'em Up worked for me. I didn't have to go into that setting, turn it off. Hit 'em Up sends them all individually.
Yeah. Yes. Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I was able to import a comma-separated value file for 1,500 numbers. And
what did they charge you to do that?
I think it was. I'm just doing it for the 1 month because I only need it for a couple 3 weeks. It was $24.95 for the month.
Okay. All right. Well, it's not. It's not terrible.
I think that their annual is like $19 a month or something like that.
Okay.
If you pay all up front.
Okay.
But it was.
Yeah.
It was pretty slick.
Yeah.
Very happy with it so far.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Well, that's cool. That's why I wanted to share it. Yeah. Cool. All right. I found a thing that actually a friend was having issues with their, I think it was USB, but this could be USB or Thunderbolt accessories, not wanting to connect to their Mac anymore. And an article was presented to us all from Apple. Allow accessories to connect to your Mac laptop computer with Apple Silicon. And the trick is to go to System Settings, Privacy and Security, and then scroll down, and there's a little pop-up menu next to an option, Allow Accessories to Connect. And then you choose which you want. You can say Ask Every Time, Ask for New Accessories, Automatically when unlocked, or Always. And so setting that setting may help to keep things connecting for you. So it was a setting I did not know about, so I figured it was good for us to share here on the show. So again, System Settings, yes. What did we call it? System Settings. We used to call it System Preferences. I'm here now. I'm Dave. I'm in Austin. System Settings, Privacy and Security, and then scroll down towards the bottom. It's in the security section where you choose whether you let apps only from the App Store or apps from the identified developers. It's near that. So go check that out on your computer and see if it gets you what you need. Yes, Mr. Braun?
I don't see it.
You're not running Apple Silicon. This is an Apple Silicon only
Got it.
Thing. Yeah, evidently this is not an issue or an option on Intel Macs, just Apple Silicon. Yeah. And I don't know if it's Ventura only. It might very well be. I think it is, but I don't have an Apple Silicon machine of a prior OS to check. So, yeah, moving on here.
All right.
Okay. Jam Cycler from our Discord brings us our final quick tip of the day. Says in episode 971, you shared Mike's tip to sort a Finder list by kind in order to show folders at the top. I wasn't aware of this. However, if you want listed items sorted by name and to still show folders at the top, you can do that. Go to Finder Preferences, Advanced, and check the box. Keep folders on top in Windows when sorting by name. That's a long preference name, but boy howdy, is it complete. And we like completeness.
All right, so look, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available, and that's why you've got to check out our sponsor, LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. We've used LinkedIn Jobs here. We've talked about this on the show. In fact, Sadie came through LinkedIn Jobs. She's been here almost 2 years now, actually maybe a little over 2 years, and it's been fantastic. We would not have found Sadie without LinkedIn Jobs, both because of how many people are out there, but also because of how easy it is to create and manage your job post and really your whole job search process right there on LinkedIn Jobs. They have simple tools like screening questions that make it super easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's super important to have the right people on your team. And that's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk with faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/MGG. That's linkedin.com/MGG to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And our thanks to LinkedIn Jobs for sponsoring this episode. Next up is one of my favorite apps, BBEdit. I have BBEdit open right now because it's part of my Start the Day script. It launches because I'm using it all the time. Sure, when I'm doing programming, any kind of coding, I use BBEdit, and it's great for HTML just as it's good for PHP and C++. Like it's great for all of that, but it's also just a fantastic tool for manipulating regular text. You want to count the number of words in a document? Boom, right there, done. You want to compare two documents? Boom, right there, done. BBEdit takes care of all of this stuff and more. And now they've got built-in support for additional languages, R, Go, Rust, Toml, Arduino, Pixar's USDA, Lisp. They use this, right? And it's obvious they use this because they do things that are for the users, but like for the geeky users, which I love. They added a repeat last command, which is very convenient because you're just, repeating things. Am I repeating myself? Good, because that's how it works. You've got to go check it out. They've got a generous eval model, 30 days of full function to try out everything in the app. Then after 30 days, it scales back to a free mode that takes some of those features away, but you might find that that's all right, but you might also just find that it's time to buy. You got to check it out. Go to barebones.com, download your eval of BBEdit, and our thanks to Barebones for sponsoring this episode. Next up is Kolide. Our sponsor has some big news for you. If you're an Okta user, they can get your entire fleet to 100% compliance. How do they do this? Well, if a device isn't compliant, the user can't log in to your cloud apps until they've fixed the problem. It's that simple. Kolide patches one of the major holes in zero trust architecture, device compliance. Without Kolide, IT struggles to solve basic problems like keeping everyone's OS and browser up to date. Unsecure devices are logging into your company's apps because there's nothing there to stop them. Kolide is the only device trust solution that enforces compliance as part of authentication, and it's built to work seamlessly with Okta. The moment Kolide's agent detects a problem, it alerts your user and gives them instructions to fix it. It also uses Slack to do this. It's very friendly and informative, so you're educating your users, not just locking them out. But if they don't fix the problem within a set time, they're blocked. Kolide's method means fewer support tickets, less frustration, and most importantly, 100% fleet compliance. Visit kolide.com/MGG to learn more or book a demo. That's KOLIDE.com/MGG. And our thanks to Kolide for sponsoring this episode.
Pete, did you like that last quick tip?
Dude, as we went in to the ads, I was like, yeah, okay, I got a second here. Went perfect. Get those folders on top so I'm not all interspersed with my files. Love it. Go back and listen to that last quick tip and use it. You'll love it. Awesome.
I love it when that light bulb moment happens. Right? It's great, right?
Like, come on, man. Why is it, I'm looking for that folder. I know it's here somewhere. Why do I have to scroll to the bottom? Right there. Yep. Folders on top. Done.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So I mentioned that I'm here in Austin, and I'm here for the South by Southwest conference. It's technically 4 conferences. It might even be 5 now. I don't know. But it's 3 main conferences. There's one that they call South by Southwest I, or Interactive, that used to be focused on like technology, emerging technology, and it still is in some ways, but it's also sort of expanded to include social issues and kind of the emerging ideas, regardless of whether they're tech, which is great. Then there's the music festival, which happens sort of at the end of things, where lots of different bands will play, bands you've heard of, bands you haven't heard of, and they come here and do showcases. I think there's over 1,000 bands or something that play here at South by during the music festival portion. And then running the entire span of it is a film festival, and now a film and TV festival, where all kinds of things get tested on audiences, premiered, all those sorts of things. So as part of this, I've gotten to see several things, but 2 of them are coming to Apple TV Plus, and I wanted to let everybody know. The first is a movie called Still, a Michael J. Fox movie. It is a documentary about Michael J. Fox. The director, the fascinating part for this is the director said he wanted to create a documentary that looked like an 80s movie. And somehow somebody, Apple, agreed to fund it. In fact, not just Apple, the Laurene Powell Jobs Foundation also was involved in funding this too. Now, Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's. He's made no secret of that. In fact, he's been very out front about it. He has the Fox Foundation, which I think has raised like $2 billion. But the director didn't want to make a movie about Parkinson's. He wanted to make a movie about Michael J. Fox. And of course, Parkinson's is part of that because it's very much a part of who he is now. The fascinating part about it was one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Michael Hart, who was the editor on this, if he doesn't win all the awards for editing this film, there is no justice in the universe. And the reason is, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you because it's part and parcel of the way this movie is delivered, and you see it almost. In fact, I think the opening scene is in fact done this way. He went back, he and his team, I would presume, went back and probably watched all the footage of Michael J. Fox from all of his TV shows and movies and all of the things that he's done that we all loved over the years. And as Michael J. Fox today is being interviewed and telling his story, it is edited to cut to scenes from his movies that show a younger Michael J. Fox experiencing a moment very similar to the one that he is describing. So, there's scenes from Secret of My Success, clearly not about Michael J. Fox when it was filmed. It was about, the character he was playing at the time. But as life has it, certain things that he portrayed in the movie happened to him, maybe even after that. And yet the editor used them to tell this story with Michael J. Fox with a younger Michael J. Fox doing it. And the first time it happens, which like I said, is right at the beginning of the movie, you're like, oh, how clever. That's really brilliant. It is done so seamlessly that by about the 20-minute mark, you now take it for granted and you expect it and get it throughout the entirety of the movie, and it's just fantastic. It's not ham-fisted, so well done. So even if documentaries are not your thing, I highly recommend checking that one out. That
sounds cool.
Good.
It sounds like a technique to steal. Everybody stole the Ken Burns effect, right? So it sounds like another technique to steal.
Exactly. Yeah. This one requires far more prep work than the Ken Burns effect because you've got to go. I mean, like. They found all the perfect scenes. The director of the movie.
Someone with an eidetic memory did it then, huh?
Is something, I don't know, man. It was really well done, though, as you can tell. Very excited about it.
Nice.
The other movie that I'm super excited about is not a documentary. It is based on true events, but it is very much a dramatization of this. It includes Taron Egerton as the star, and the movie is Tetris. I had never known until I saw the movie 2 days ago, and it comes out on Apple TV Plus on March 31st, so you don't have to wait very long. I did not know the story of international espionage and intrigue that was the backstory to Tetris coming to market here in the United States and the world. How this story has never been told at a grand scale before. I know, in fact, that it's been told before, but I had never heard it. My guess is most of us here have never heard it. Tetris was written by a Russian programmer, right kind of amidst the Cold War, but as things were beginning to, the cracks were beginning to appear over in Russia. And it is a fascinating story. It's well told. I'm sure they took some creative liberties. First of all, it happened over the course of several years, and they show it to us in 2 hours or less, So they made some choices, but after the movie here at South by Southwest, when they do a premiere, often they will have the stars of the movie, the director, etc., come and do a little Q&A afterwards. So there was Michael J. Fox was here the other day. They did a Q&A with him, which was great to see. And then after this, they did a Q&A with the director, Taron Egerton, and then also the original programmer of Tetris was here in Austin on stage, as was the kind of the marketing guy, if you will, who was also a programmer, a pretty decent programmer, it sounds like, who worked to make all of this sort of happen. And they were there, and it was just fascinating to like see them, and they said the movie is emotionally accurate. There are certain moments in the movie. There is a 3-way negotiation that happens simultaneously in the movie, and it seems like one of these made for film moments that actually happened. So when you're watching it and wondering, which parts did they take liberties with, that's not one of them, and that shocked me. But there are, I'm sure, some other moments that they took some liberties with, just to make it to pump it up a little bit for our screens. But this movie's going to be huge. I think you're going to love it. So I just wanted to share both of those. They're kind of fit to us here with our nerdiness. So
how long do we have to wait for the Michael J. Fox one?
I don't know when that's coming. Apple TV Plus. It is called Still. I'm looking. Release date coming soon.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Hang on. Release date May 12th, 2023.
So not much longer. That's awesome.
Nope. Yep. Not much longer.
And on Apple TV, I said.
Apple TV Plus. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got some good stuff. Shrinking's their new. Have you seen that one?
No.
That's Harrison Ford and can't think of the other. It's funny. It's good.
Is it? All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Their series seem to, for the most part, delight and entertain. Some of them aren't for me, but right.
Right. Well, I mean, if we all liked everything, life would be super boring. So
right on.
Yeah. Speaking of making life interesting, those of you who heard the last episode 972 know that my travels and specifically the hotel Wi-Fi where I was in Las Vegas last week created some bandwidth issues, especially toward the end of the show. Be that as it may. I was going to say it's fine. It's not fine. I hate it, but it is what it is. Earlier in the show, though, I had an issue where my microphone kept cutting out. And Pete, I know what happened now, and it's actually related to a quick tip that we shared about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Pete, you were the savior there, because as I was sort of fumbling around trying different things, you stopped me and said, "Hey, Dave, I hear your power cutting on and off." You heard the sound of my MacBook.
Dong,
you heard the little thing. And so that made me, that led to the Band-Aid, if you will, of me just pulling power from my setup here. And that got us through the rest of the show. So that's, quote unquote, solved the problem, or at least identified the problem. Just to explain my travel setup, I have a MacBook Air, an M1 Air. So it's got 2 ports on it that are USB-C.
Whether you need them both or not.
Yeah, that's correct. Turns out I do need them. Into one of the ports, I have that KYY 4K screen, the 15-inch portable screen that we mentioned just prior to my travels. And that screen is amazing. Like, it's totally worth it. I'll make sure the link is in the show notes too. So I have that screen, and then I have my travel microphone, the Audio-Technica 2005 USB. My version of it is a USB-A microphone, and so therefore I need a dongle, but I would need a dongle anyway because I want to power it while using the microphone. So I have this EasyQuest dongle that has HDMI and power pass-through. It's the one we mentioned recently on the show. And so I plug my USB-A mic into that. I also plug power into that. None of the things I've mentioned yet are the problem, but the signal flow is the problem, because when the power stops flowing into the hub or the dock, the dongle, the hub has to reset, meaning my microphone has to reset, which was why my mic kept cutting in and out. Okay, so why is power fluctuating on the way in? I use an Anchor, and I don't want to pull the model of it because I don't want to mess with us again, but I use an Anchor portable power pack. It's got like a little extension cord on it. It's got 3 USB ports, 2 power delivery ports for USB-C, and 1 just straight, normal port for USB-A for power. And then it's also got 2 AC, outlets on it, which is great. Makes it perfect for travel. But as a listener pointed out in a previous episode that we shared, many of these power delivery solutions have to temporarily pull power each time you plug a new device in because it has to renegotiate how it's going to split power between the two power delivery outputs on it. And last week, I was powering my laptop via one of the power delivery ports directly, and also my iPhone via one of the power delivery ports. And that was fine for a little while, wasn't it? And then mid-show, it started not being fine. And the reason it started not being fine is because my iPhone decided to stop asking to be charged, as iPhones are wont to do. And as soon as the Anchor power supply saw that, it was like, oh, that device is not asking for power. That port is not asking for power anymore. So I need to renegotiate everything to give more power to the other port. And then the iPhone would say, oh, I'll take a little power. Hey. And it would, right. Like all this makes sense because I was like, how did this thing die? And of course, this was just the beginning of my trip. I'm like, oh man, what have I done to myself? Like, this is no bueno. I got to go to an Apple store. I got to buy a new power adapter. You know, it was just like, how did I get plagued by this? I didn't get plagued by anything. So now for this show, I'm using the same power adapter. However, my laptop is being charged by a single power supply that's plugged into one of the AC outlets on that thing so that there is zero chance of it deciding to renegotiate during the show. And as soon as I said the words zero chance, I realized that I might have just let me find some simulated wood grain here. And yeah,
right there above and between your eyes, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. But I just found it fascinating. You know, this is what I love about this show is, I mean, and this is true even for us. Like, there are things that we share on the show that are not relevant to us at the moment. And of course, that's true for you as the listener, right? Like, many of the things, even including this story I just told, might not be relevant for you immediately today. But 3 weeks from now, just like for me 3 weeks ago when it wasn't relevant, it stuck in my head as I was doing the troubleshooting. I'm like, wait. I know this fact. I think it might actually be applying to me. And of course it was. Yeah.
Now the question it begs, if you go into your phone and battery settings and say, just charge it to full, you know, in other words, right? Because there's a setting in there, as I recall, for the battery. But when it got to 100%, it would start doing the same thing anyway.
That's what it was. It actually had gotten to 100%. Right. Yeah. So I mean, turning that off might mitigate the issue somewhat, but it's not gonna fix it. Yeah, because it was early enough in the day that I had charged my phone overnight. I mean, it was so early in the day for me. I think we recorded at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah. So like my phone had not gone below 98 or something. But I just thought, well, I'll plug it in that way. I'm good to go when
you're done with the show.
When I'm done with the show,
you'll have a fully charged phone ready.
Exactly. I'm ready to rock and roll. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, but
nice find,
right? But I wouldn't have been able. I don't know how long it would have taken me to troubleshoot this if it weren't for this show. Right. Because, well, first of all, you identified the power thing in real time.
Yeah, go on.
Thank goodness. No, thank goodness.
Getting that ding.
Why is that ding happening? It's not me, right? Yep. And I heard it too, but it felt like
it was just going by.
It was just going by.
Yeah.
Not important. Yeah. Yeah, you know how it is. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because it really, not only is it important for all of us to know and make sure we have in our heads, but it's just one of those things. Like this is what I love about this show. One of the things. So, all right.
I got a little power story.
Go.
I learned something new. So I got myself a new UV flashlight.
Okay.
Because my old one, like 3 of the LEDs were shot. So I'm like, okay, let me get a new one. So I got a new one. And then it listed on it so it comes with a little cartridge where you put 3 AAA batteries.
Sure. Yep.
And my other mini flashlights have the same thing, but I read the documentation, believe it or not. And it's like, oh, well, you know what? you can use an 18650 battery. And I'm like, what the heck is an 18650 battery?
Oh, yeah.
So I learned something. And it's like, well, you can use this other type of battery too. It's basically a replacement that gives you the equivalent power, but it's only a single cell.
Ah.
It's one of those lithium-ion ones, right? About the size of your pinky?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, and I'm going to list here. So I ordered both a charger and 2 batteries. These particular ones are 3,200 milliamp hours, which I think is pretty much equivalent to what you get with the 3 AAAs. But
Okay.
just never heard about this type of battery before, but when I searched for it, there was quite a few options online. And
let me offer a hint about those batteries. If you let them go all the way dead, may as well just throw them away.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to recharge that battery, somewhere by 5% or so. If you let it go dead, you're done.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that I don't know what it is about it. Maybe somebody knows, could write in and tell us what it is about that lithium-ion battery like that it, when they go dead, they're done.
And that can be true of the battery in your iPhone too. If you leave it, dead for months. Now, it has to be more than a month or 2. It's got to be several months with most iPhones because I've gotten lucky. I've found them. The best thing to do if you're going to put an iPhone on the shelf, well, the first thing to do is to ask why you're doing that. And if it's just because you want to have a spare phone, then great, but otherwise maybe just sell it. The second thing to do is charge it to at least 70% or so. There are schools of thought that say not to leave it on the shelf at 100%. So, get it close and then power it down so that it's not draining its battery immediately down to nothing. Power it down and it should last for quite a while that way because the battery's still got some juice in it. Yeah.
I've often carried those flashlights with those lithium-ion cells, and on more than one occasion, the battery's gone all the way down, and I'm just dead in the water. It's like, So I've experienced that, and I will say my e-bike says if you're going to go long-term, store it at 60%. I don't know why.
Okay.
But,
the 60% number that sounds familiar to me. I'll say it that way. Yeah.
So do like John did. Read the manual.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Every now and then, there's good stuff in there.
Sometimes they know what they're doing. Yeah.
The designers, the engineers.
That's amazing. Yep. All right, John, you want to take us to Dennis?
Oh, why not? Okay, Dennis says, I have an external disk that I've divided into partitions /volume groups /volumes. Let me list them and how they are designated in this utility. And he then gives us a list of the partitions. So he has the main one, untitled, and then APFS volume group, and APFS data volume.
Okay.
My problem is that Clone 2, the data volume, doesn't show up in the Finder or on my desktop. When I select one of the partitions volumes to be ejected, it says eject all. The clone partition never gets ejected. I can tell because shutting down the computer after ejecting, I get the warning that it was not ejected properly. I suspect it's because it's a data volume. This was an experimental drive doing an experiment with Carbon Copy Cloner, so I can delete it. I just want to understand it before I do. Maybe you could shed some light on APFS volumes, APFS data volumes, core storage logical volumes, and USB external physical volumes. I don't know. All right, so 2 replies to this. One is that in the Finder, there are 2 ways. There are a couple of places that you can go to designate what is shown. And I've had this happen to me where I'm like, yeah, where is it? I don't see it, even though I plugged it in. And I got a message, if you use Hardware Growler, that, something was plugged in to the computer, but it never showed up. There are 2 places you can go. So in the Finder, Settings, General, Show these items on the desktop is one place to go. Or Finder, Settings, Sidebar, Locations. And for either one, specify external disks.
Have you tried this? Does this work for you?
No.
Okay. All right. Good.
but I did find a way that, so I have this one drive that I use for my carbon copy cloner backup, and it doesn't show up in the Finder on either of my machines. I'm like, how do I see this stuff on here? I found a workaround.
Okay.
So here's the weird thing. So even though my drive doesn't show up in the Finder, similar to what Dennis is running into, I found that going into either Disutility or Carbon Copy Cloner, that shows the volume. And here's what you can do, Dave. You right-click on the volume in either Disutility or Carbon Copy Cloner, and it has a choice, Show in Finder.
Oh.
That's the way I can see my stuff.
Oh, nice
so I don't
find.
I don't know if this is an APFS bug.
I feel like I've been seeing this in macOS for a very long time. I think it predates APFS. I think it's a Finder bug because the volume is mounted, right? Like if you go to the terminal and you look in _volumes, you'll see it. It's just not showing up in the Finder. So I think it's just a Finder bug, and I don't think it's APFS. I could be wrong about that. Like I can't say that, where in time it started to happen more frequently for me, but yeah, I feel like it's gone back quite a bit. It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
and you got to go down. So the thing is, if you say Show in Finder, it's going to show the 4 top-level directories on your data volume. System, library,
Sure.
users, and that's where you want to go. So if you go into users, and then your username, that will be the content that you probably want to restore.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Fun. All right. We'll take Craig's question. This actually was a decent conversation in pre-show. We'll do this while John gets the water that we all know he needs. Craig asks, he says, I suspect by now you've heard the news that T-Mobile has purchased Mint Mobile. I know Pete and Dave, you use it. What are your thoughts on this? I don't want to see history repeat itself is basically the gist of his message because he's seen, when the big guy acquires the little guy, the benefits of the little guy go away. And that may happen here. I don't think that's going to happen immediately here. In fact, I'm almost certain it's not going to happen immediately because it hasn't happened. Mint Mobile is still Mint Mobile and it's still fantastic. But it might. You never know. Like it could have, Mint Mobile could have gotten worse with the previous ownership. Like the good news is that in today's world, changing cell carriers is as easy as changing your socks. It really is just not a big deal at all. And that's especially true now that we live in the world of eSIMs, where you don't even have to wait for them to ship you a SIM. You don't have to go to the store. You can do it all on your phone, or you can use your desktop if you want. But really, it's just a non-issue to change. You keep your number. The porting of your number is. I mean, there's exceptions to this, but by and large, the porting of your numbers these days is fast and smooth and seamless. So I would say don't worry about it, but also don't change anything until you are catalyzed to do it by some external event. But I don't think they'll change because I think this is a very profitable business model. Mint Mobile really took the idea of buying a prepaid plan and made it feel normal to those of us who are responsible with our finances, have decent credit, could get a postpaid plan, which is what most of the plans that like the big 3 carriers do. Prior to Mint Mobile, prepaid plans, and even still today, prepaid plans have that stigma of, you buy a prepaid plan, easy for you to say, because you are financially irresponsible. You have no credit. People don't trust you. That's the only reason, at least in the United States, that most people buy. That's the reason we think that people buy prepaid plans. That is not the case, though, because Mint Mobile's a prepaid plan. I have a fantastic credit rating. I'm happy to use Mint Mobile, right? It's they changed the mindset on this. And then there's Visible by Verizon, which does the same thing. So, yeah.
Well, Mint Mobile did it by cutting the price in half over the large carriers. And
correct.
More than that,
exactly. That's how they drew us in. But part of the reason for that is because Mint doesn't need a collections department.
Right.
If you don't pay your bill, you don't have service because you pay up front. And so it makes life easier for them. And obviously some of that cost savings they pass through, some of it they don't. They have always been on T-Mobile as their carrier. They're an MVNO of T-Mobile. So it made sense for T-Mobile to acquire this before somebody else did. It was clearly a very profitable business. So I don't think T-Mobile is going to mess with it. In fact, I saw this news in the other direction. Maybe there will be things that T-Mobile does that get opened up to us as Mint subscribers as optional things we can add, like perhaps less expensive international plans, perhaps the Apple Watch, as Pete is pointing out for me, right? Like those sorts of things we might start to see trickle in because they've already got the infrastructure and the deals in place and all of that. So because Mint doesn't get my money when I go overseas. I've talked about it here. I use an eSIM from some third-party carrier. Well, T-Mobile might want to keep my money and offer me a more attractively priced international, a Europe-specific plan, that kind of thing. Like, so anyway, we will see what the future holds, but I wouldn't start sweating. We'll pay attention to it, of course, because at least two of us here use it. Pete and I use it, and I use it for my whole family. I think you do too, Pete. So
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's my hope that they keep it the same and or offer more benefits and lower the prices, because as everybody knows, first of all, I've had a couple bad experiences with the big carriers. But the other thing is, as you've seen, Dave, by traveling to Europe recently, we pay ridiculous prices for mobile service in the United States.
Oh my God.
Outrageous.
Yeah. My daughter pays €11 a month for, I think, 150 gigs of 5G data, plus, of course, unlimited talk and text, although they don't use that over there. They use WhatsApp. But yes.
Use data. Yeah.
They use data, but she has 150 gigs or something. She showed me. She was like, oh yeah, like my favorite, I've done a lot of consulting calls. I've done consulting for people whose names you all know. Like I've had a fantastic career doing that. My favorite to this day, and it may never change, my favorite Dave the Nerd call was the one I had to fly to Italy to do, and fix my daughter's Wi-Fi so that they could watch from our Plex server reliably over there. But in the interim, before I got there, because I had some delays, in my schedule, it took me a little while to schedule Italy in on my Dave the Nerd schedule. And if you're from the IRS, haha, yes, I just justified my trip as a business expense. Before I went to her apartment to do this, she was just tethering her TV to her phone to stream from our Plex server. And she's like, oh yeah, I'll never hit my monthly limit doing that. I'm like, oh, if only.
Right. Yeah. That's what, and that's one of the things I want to do with our Florida place, because I pay $50 a month for internet there. And I'm like, I know there's other cellular type options even that are cheap, even cheaper here, even though it's an outrageous price. If I could get some of that €11 a month fee.
Oh man. Gosh.
Be all over it. Yeah.
I'd pay, I know. I'd pay €22 for 150 gigs. So,
yeah, I think Verizon is advertising 5G data. I think a hotspot basically for, I think, like $25 a month, which sounds pretty good to me if you get good 5G coverage.
Is that only in the U.S. or is that like global?
No, I think it's just the U.S.
Oh, okay. Well, you could get And unlimited 5G? No.
Pretty sure that's what they claim.
For $25 a month? I thought it was $50 a month for Verizon's. You talking about their home, the Verizon home
the
thing?
home 5G.
Okay, let's look. Maybe they changed their prices. Yeah.
Although there's that one commercial that really poops all over the using the cellular service. People walk by and use your bandwidth in the off the same towers in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So.
You are correct.
Oh, okay.
Verizon 5G home internet starting at a low price, guaranteed. Huh?
Is there a data cap on that?
That's what I'm looking for. No
unlimited 5G data. It says.
There you go.
No equipment charges or data caps.
Dude, well, there we go.
You know what?
Solved my Cox cable in Florida.
I'm going to change, because I still pay for Comcast as a backup connection to my fiber, but I want a backup connection that is wireless. And I've been thinking about moving to one of the things, one of these solutions. T-Mobile's was $50 a month. Let's see. Did they change too?
They're going to need to.
They are going to need to.
While you're looking that up, David
sir.
Clemkin in the Discord says, what about getting hacked off on user info? I think T-Mobile got hacked. Yeah, see, $50 still for T-Mobile.
It's still $50 for T-Mobile's
Hey, T-Mobile,
home
wakey,
internet.
wakey.
Yeah, wakey, wakey. Yeah, next week this will have changed. Yeah.
But going to the hacker thing, I think that's just a cost of doing business in this world. Your stuff's going to get hacked, so I freeze my credit
Yes.
bureaus.
That's a really smart. I do the same thing, Pete. Yeah. It's going to data breaches are just going to happen in that way. Yeah. They're not going to be as bad as what LastPass did, but maybe some of them are. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact is we're going to get hacked and hosed and no matter what. And it's a matter of staying in front of it. Fortunately, most of the credit card companies are good now about texting you if there's a weird charge on your account.
Totally.
But what do you do when someone opens an account in your name? So that supposedly prevents it.
Right.
Although, there's nothing preventing someone from giving you, in air quotes, credit.
Right.
Without checking your credit report. They could do that, but,
But they also can't file to it. That's on them.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right, where are we on time here? Go ahead,
if you
John.
do want to find out if you've been hacked, here's one service that I use, and maybe you do too, but have I been owned? But they replace the O with a P.
Okay.
So have I been pwned.com. Basically, you get your email address, and it will tell you if that email has been compromised.
Nice. All right, well, that brings us into Cool Stuff Found, and so we will keep going with Cool Stuff Found. The next thing, and I wanted to make sure we got this into this episode just from a time perspective, Synology released the DS423 Plus last week, and there was a notable difference between all the things that they have released since the DS1520 Plus, because we used to have to say on this show that the most recently released Synology disk station that had a GPU was released in 2020, the 1520 Plus. I can now say that is no longer the case. The DS423 Plus has a Celeron J4125 CPU in it, which, just by its nature, also includes the Intel GPU, which means it will do hardware transcoding for Plex, and is I've got one on the way. I will be testing it, but I just wanted to share the good news that yes, Synology has listened to us. They are making these, they are aware that there is a segment of their customer base that wants this stuff. Quite frankly, I knew they were going, I knew in my heart of hearts. They didn't quite share their plans with me, but they made it clear they were listening. Let's put it that way. I knew in my heart that they would be coming out with that we had not seen the last of Synology's GPU-based NASs. I didn't think we'd see it until late 2024 at the earliest. So I am surprised and delighted by the timing of this. Couldn't be happier. So just wanted to share that.
What's the price
Go
point
ahead.
on that, Dave?
I don't, Pete. It's so new. I don't know. No, it's a fair question, man. Like, I should know the answer to this.
They're about 4.5, somewhere in there.
Let's see. Synology DS423 Plus on Amazon. I don't even think it's on Amazon.
It's not on Amazon.
yet.
At least I'm not saying it.
No, it's not. It's not out. I don't know that you can buy it yet, but but like they exist. So yeah, we will have. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I have pricing somewhere, but it's going to be in that $300 to $600 range. I realize that's a huge range, but it's coming. We will have details. But it's here. Like it exists. They made it, and that's the good news.
Yeah. I got a hit here.
Where'd you find it?
Yeah, B&H lists it as $500
Okay, there you go.
for the enclosure only.
Yes. Right. Yeah, the bare metal. Yep. Okay. Great. Amazing. Yep. That's good news. Andrew sent in a fantastic cool stuff found. I think actually he shared this in our Discord. It's a piece of software from Neat Software called Ping. And it sits in your menu bar and shows you ping times or even just website access times for as many websites as you want. It'll do 3 in the free version, and then you can pay to unlock unlimited. And what's cool is you can have it ping your router and then, site out on the internet. And if you have a cable modem, you can have it ping your cable modem too. So you can do our patented Mac Geek Gab 3-way ping, even with the free version of this. And because it sits in your menu bar, of course, you can click it and see the specific results of each of the items that you've put there. But if all of them are good, the icon in your menu bar is green. If any one of them is bad, the icon in your menu bar turns red. So you can immediately see, am I having a connection issue? And it will show right up there. So this is a fantastic. And of course, you could use it for all kinds of things. You could use it to test to see if your own servers are online. Like there's a variety of use cases for this, of course, but I really appreciated that. So thank you for sharing that, Andrew. John, have you messed with Ping yet?
No.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that you'll find that you that you like. Along those same lines, Grumpy from our Discord has written something that I did not know existed, and I'm glad he shared it because it's based on our idea of the 3 ping scenario where you, in order to troubleshoot where your connection problems are, you ping from your computer to your router, you ping from your computer to your cable modem, and you ping from your computer to a site out on the internet like www.apple.com. And then depending on which one fails at what time, you know where the issue is in the network setting. Is it something local to you? Is it something out on the internet, etc.? He wrote a Homebridge plugin that he calls Net Nanny, and you can set it to ping all of these things. It shows up as CO2 sensors in your HomeKit, so you can even set to get alerts from this and all sorts of things. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes too. Thank you for letting us know about this, Grumpy. Good stuff. Yeah.
And one other.
Go.
If you want to, if you're thinking, why can't I get to the site? Is it just me? Here's both a site and they also have an app, DownDetector.
Okay. And talk a little bit about how it works.
I look at it right now, and it actually shows on their homepage the status of various services. And if it's down, it shows the graph of uptime and oh boy.
They're coming to get you.
No, that's the fire engine. I know.
Hopefully they're not coming to get you.
Right? Yeah. You don't want to see those guys.
I hope not.
No.
But it basically shows you a graph of uptime and downtime. So if you're like, wow, I can't get to, and right now it's showing AT&T, Spectrum, Verizon, Dish, Shopify, PayPal.
Sure.
All sorts of things.
Cool. So that is showing an perhaps I don't know the details behind it. I was hoping you might. That is showing whether a site is down or up for the majority of the people, not for you, so that you can troubleshoot whether it's a you thing or a them thing. Just so people understand the context of what that does. Yeah, cool. All right, we got a couple of follow-up cool stuffs found. You want to take us to listener John? John?
Yes. Hold on.
All right, well, I'll do the one from the previous episode. In 972, Ben, we were talking about bandwidth limiting and throttling data, especially on your iPhone. Of course, we also talked about doing so on your Mac using low data mode. And listener Ben over in Discord says there is an app called Trip Mode at tripmode.ch. And he says that can restrict specific apps and channels from using any data while on specific Wi-Fi networks. We've talked about Trip Mode before, but it's absolutely worth a re-mention. Thank you for that, Ben. Yeah, that one really lets you get granular in an easy way. Like it's a tool that does a nerdy thing, but makes it simple to do sort of in the moment for all of us. So I highly recommend checking that out, especially if you travel and especially if you're on, like, if you are doing tethering, but you're not my daughter with her 150 gigs and fancy. If you're here in the US and you're doing tethering to your phone, low data mode might not be specific enough for you. So trip mode can really be kind of the thing there. So yeah. Are we ready for listener John? John? I think he muted himself for some reason. Yep. So
no,
maybe
there was another fire engine.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
I've learned to mute.
Gotcha.
All right, so John,
you need to learn to unmute.
Yes. All right, so John says, here's a plug for POBox.com. It can bounce based on what spam filter hits occur. Not affiliated, just a satisfied customer.
So this is referencing a discussion we had 2 episodes ago in 971 about mail and bouncing the mail back to the spammers. The three of us talked about
like a dead address, right?
so that it would appear like a dead address. And I said it would have to be up to the mail host. And listener John, of course, highlights that one mail host at least will do that for us. So maybe there are others.
Yeah, and they even have an article why to explain this to you. Why would I want to bounce my spam? And they go through why you may want to do that.
I'm wondering if, are spammers smart enough to know, like, okay, if it's a POBox.com account that bounced it and the timing of the bounce came not immediately, right? Then it's probably a good address that someone has manually bounced from. Right? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, like heuristics are a thing. We use them for all kinds of stuff. So pulling together all of those signals, you probably as a spammer could be pretty, like, I don't know how much this is going to help is what I'm trying to say. Okay. But it might. I don't know. I'm thinking as a spammer, right? I'm not a spammer.
So
I've never
prolific.
done any
That's
spamming.
The problem. It's just so prolific.
All right then. That's enough. I think that is enough. I think we've done it. I think we succeeded, folks. Feedback at MacGeekGab.com if you have your own stuff, cool stuff found to share, your own quick tips, or, of course, your own questions. We love hearing from you. It's one of our favorite things. In fact, it's part of why we do what we do. We wouldn't do this. I mean, we would...
if it wasn't for you.
Right. There it is. Yeah. We would still have these conversations. We just probably wouldn't release them. Maybe we would. I don't know. I don't know.
It's called an echo chamber, Dave.
Yeah, I live in an echo chamber, Pete. But the good news is we're all in the same echo chamber together, folks.
There we go. Well, but when there's tens of thousands of us, that's a good echo chamber to be in, right?
It's this is a good echo chamber to be in too. Like everybody's so like respectful to each other and thoughtful. Like I know it starts
for
with
the
us.
internet. You're not wrong. This is a great group.
The community is amazing. Yeah. Join our Discord. It's wonderful. I'm sure we have people in there of all varying, belief systems, political and otherwise, but it's not part of that. Our love for and interest in technology and help, and really, but it's all predicated on helping each other. That's the key there. And we do have a channel where we can have our fish shakes because there are things about technology in life that, we need to rant about, like cell phone data pricing here in the United States. Yepper. All right, folks. Well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for visiting our sponsors. Of course, that's at macgeekgab.com/sponsors. You can check out the ones that we talked about in this episode. Kolide.com/MGG, LinkedIn.com/MGG, barebones.com for BBEdit. Our thanks to CashFly for providing all the bandwidth to get the show from us to you. Man, I don't know what the answer is. John, do you know what the answer is?
What's the question?
What's the most important generic advice you could give to a fellow human?
Don't get caught.
Made up.